guys, welcome back to my channel, Orlia Speaks Live. Here we talk about faith, health, and relationships. My name is Orlia Day, and I share tips with you on how you can transform pain into purpose. Now, today I want to share a brief story with you, and today we're talking about dry seasons, dead seasons, wilderness seasons. But before we get into that, remember to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Turn on that notification bell so that you can know when I upload other videos. Like, comment, and also guys, remember to tell a friend to tell a friend. Now, as I said it before, we're talking about dry seasons, and I know you can relate and you can attest the fact that 2020 has been a difficult year for many of us. This has been a dry season for us, but I want to share with you an object lesson that was brought to my attention recently, and how with God nothing is really what it seems. So let me get in the story real quick. Now, in March, that's before the pandemic, my mom came to visit me. My mom lives in the country and she has a farm, and so when she visits me, she brings a lot of goodies for me. Now, while we were unpacking, we recognized that there was a yam head in the lot, and she decided that she was going to take it back home. Now, for some of you who do not know what a yam head is, a yam head is not edible. It's actually what is used to generate more yams. Now, my mom would bring that home, plant that in her field, and maybe about 8 months to a year, we would be able to reap yams from that yam head. Now, unfortunately, my mom forgot the yam head, and it was placed on the floor of my kitchen. Now, I said to myself that I would have to discard of this yam head because I have nowhere to plant it. I passed it day in, day out. I brought out the garbage and I kept forgetting to throw it away. Now, quite a few weeks passed, maybe almost a month, and I keep forgetting it. It started withering. It looked at it as if it was drying up. And I said to myself that I need to discard of this yam head. Now, eventually, something very interesting started happening. The yam head started growing a bit, and I said to myself, I still might have to throw it away because I have nowhere to plant it. I forgot about it for a few weeks, and one day I just went in the kitchen and the yam was growing. It was maybe about 6 inches by this time. And I remember taking a photo of it and I sent it to my mom and I showed it to her, and she started encouraging me to plant this yam head. And I said I was going to ask my landlord if there is anywhere that I can plant it because I was very fascinated with its growth. I took it from the kitchen, placed it in front of the window where it could receive some sunlight, and it started flourishing. I took it from the window, placed it on the veranda, started flourishing even more. This was maybe about 10 inches now, and it started wrapping around a table that's on the veranda. Now, eventually, my landlord planted it, and eight, maybe about 8 days, 8 to 10 days, he brought me to show it to me, and it was really flourishing. I could not believe that that withered piece of yam head was flourishing so much. And then the Lord actually spoke to me where this is concerned regarding dead seasons, dry seasons, wilderness seasons. All of us will be placed in these seasons, and there are some object lessons that is very important for you to take away when you're in this season. The first point that I want to share with you is that dry seasons are necessary for your growth. Dry seasons are necessary for your growth. And while I considered this point, I thought about the story of David. When David was a shepherd boy, he was anointed to be king, but he was not placed on the throne immediately. David's family did not necessarily believe that he was going to be a king. There was actually a party, so to speak, for David. He was a guest of honor and he was not even invited. His dad showed the prophet all of his sons, except David. But we all know the story that David was anointed king and he became king eventually. Now we want to talk now about Joseph. Joseph had to be placed in the prison before he could be placed in the palace. Joseph was also overlooked. He was also betrayed by family, and he went through many ordeals in order to place him in the palace so that he can save his people. Now, also, Abraham, a promise was made to Abraham that he was going to have a son. And this was a time when Abraham started to get discouraged and wonder if this promise would come to pass. He had to go through a season of seasons of mistakes and rebuke before that promise could come to pass. And we see that with all of these accounts, that they had to go through a process. They had to go through some dead seasons, some dry seasons, some unfruitful seasons before what the Lord told them could come to pass. Now, this season that you're in could indicate that you are actually planted and you are not buried. It's actually saying to you that you might be protected and not punished, or you might be resting and not necessarily stagnant. This season is actually preparing you for a next level. And so even though you might be rejected, even though you might be at rock bottom even now, even though you might be overlooked, I want to tell you even now that this season that you're going through is preparing you for something greater. Your greater is definitely coming, and God is preparing you, he is equipping you for that next level and for that next season. Sometimes we have to go through disappointments in one season in order to appreciate or in order to be prepared for the season that is coming afterwards. Now, the second point that I want to share with you is that it's important for you to work in secret so that God can bless you openly. Work in secret so that God could bless you openly. That yam head was in the kitchen. It was not exposed to sunlight. It was not exposed to water. It was not exposed to fertilizer. It was not exposed to even a soil that would help it to grow. It was placed on the floor of my kitchen. And even though I thought it was dead, even though I thought it had no purpose, it showed me that there is actually it actually has some purpose and potential. And because of that, the perseverance of that yam head, I was like, no, you know what, I can't throw this away. I have to find a way to plant this yam head, because even though it didn't have those external factors, it was still able to thrive. And I want to share that with you, that a lot of times we talk too much. I'm just going to say it bluntly. We talk too much and we share our visions and our dreams too quickly. Joseph, he received the dream and he shared it with his brothers, and it was because of that dream why his brothers pretty much sold him. And so sometimes the Lord is saying to us that before you start going and talking about your dreams, talking about your visions, talking about what the Lord has said to you, stay in that dry season, stay in that unfruitful season, and allow the Lord to equip you, allow him to speak to you, allow him to direct you, so that when the time is right, he can put you on that in that spotlight. He can allow you to be discovered, which brings me to my third and last point. You are protected and not punished. You are protected and not punished. Now, while we talk about this point, let me talk a bit more about the reason why photographs are placed in a dark room in order to be developed. Photographs are placed in a dark room in order to be developed. And have you ever considered the reason for that? Because if too much light is placed in that room, or if any light is placed in that room, then the photograph will not be developed to its truest potential. And the Lord is saying to you even now that maybe you need to be placed in a dark room where he alone can speak to you, he alone can pour into you, where you can recognize that the Lord is enough and he is all I need actually in this season, so that he can continue preparing me for what he has in store for me. Some of you are in this particular season and you think that the Lord is punishing you. You think that he has forgotten you because nothing is coming to fruition. You have lost your job. You're not able to start that business. You're not able to start that ministry. Everything is falling apart. You're about to hit rock bottom and you're wondering, have God forgotten me? But consider the winter season. The winter season, if you look at the trees, they seem as if they're dead. Yes, if you look, there are no leaves, they're not bearing any fruits, and they're going through a harsh season, which is the winter season. Now what you're seeing is not it's not that the trees are dead, but they're in a season that is called dormancy, the season of dormancy. Now what happens is that in this very harsh seasons, the trees are resting. They're saving their energy in this difficult time so that they can produce the fruits in the appropriate season. Let me repeat. They're currently resting in this season, in this very harsh season, and so that's why you see no leaves on the trees and no fruits are bearing on those trees, and they seem dead, but they're not necessarily dead, but they're resting so that when the appropriate season comes, they can start budding, they can start growing and producing those appropriate fruits. Not only any fruits, but good fruits, great fruits. And it's the same thing with some of you. You might be in a season where you feel as if you are being punished because God is saying a lot of no's for you. He's saying no to that job. He's saying no to that idea. He's saying no to that person. He's saying no to that destination. He's just saying no. There are no's after no's, and you're like, you know what? I'm being punished. There's something that I did in my past that is causing this to happen to me this current season. But you know what? God might just be protecting you and not punishing you. If you had moved to that location, he saw what would have happened. If he had said yes to that person, he saw that you maybe would have had a broken heart afterwards. He may be saying no because he has something greater for you. Nothing good the Lord will withhold from you. And so if he's saying no, it means that he is preparing you for something greater. So even though you're going through a rough season right now, you're challenged, you're perplexed, you're concerned, I am here to tell you that you should not be dismayed, but you should trust God and trust the season that he has placed you in. Because even though the season might seem as if it's a dead season, it's a dry season, you are growing, you are flourishing. Take your time to grow, take your time to flourish, commune with God and allow him to deposit what he wants you to do. Try not to pay attention to too much distraction in this season, but allow God to pour into you so that you can pour into someone else in the appropriate season. And I want to share this scripture with you. One of my favorite scriptures that have encouraged me over the years, and this is taken from Habakkuk 2 verses 2 to 3, and it says, write that vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that reads it. For the vision, for the vision, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. It shall what? It shall speak and not lie. Though it may tarry, though the vision tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Let me repeat that. Though the vision tarries, wait for it, because when God is ready to move, it will come forth, and you will see, you will say, okay, now I realized why God said no. Now I realized why I had to be placed in that dry season. Now I realize the purpose of that disappointment, the purpose of that rejection, the purpose of being overlooked. Because guess what? Your greater is coming. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to write down that vision, that idea, whatever God has deposited in your spirit. Write that down, make it plain, and though that vision, my friend, may tarry, what you're gonna do? Wait for it. And in your time of waiting, you're going to be consulting God. Don't share too much. Just talk to God, consult Him, and ask Him the direction, what that you should take. Remember, you cannot be discovered without being developed. Let me say that again. You cannot expect to be discovered and you have not gone through the process. You have to be developed before you can be discovered. And this is not a dry season. This is not a dead season. This is not a wilderness season. But this is a developmental season, or a season of development. This is where the Lord is preparing you for something greater. So remember, guys, your greater is coming, but write that vision and make it plain. And though that vision may tarry, wait for it, because when the time is right, it will surely come forth. I am hoping that this was edifying for someone. I'm hoping that you were blessed, and remember to be encouraged, because he who has started a great work in you will complete it until Christ Jesus. Remember that God has an expected end for your life. He knew you even before you were conceived in your mother's womb. And so even though you're going through a rough season, even now, the Lord is preparing you for something greater. I pray that you will continue to be blessed and you will continue to be encouraged. As usual, every good and perfect gift comes from God, and God will make all things beautiful in His time. Thank you so much for watching, and continue to be blessed. Bye, guys.